Last time on Desperate Attune, the crew returned from the farms of Gilly Gilly Gully in various states of disrepair. Clem, the most unscathed, used their time to mend the crew's bonds with the community. They suggested that Woods might open a second branch of his workshop in the lair to serve as a Kettracy, and they agreed on a partnership operating out of the sword school, though open access for the refugees would have to wait. Mushfik, though physically unharmed, was mentally exhausted. With nothing else to do, he went to get a haircut at the famed Havak Hamza's. There he recounted the story of how the city had robbed him of everything, including his dear Ustad. Hamza told him that he'd seen many such cases. The city was both cruel and irresistible. Hearing this strengthened Mushfik's resolve, and he'd see to it that the city could not cut another so deeply again. Bidruhi was the worst for wear. He'd taken a grenade for his guys and was embedded with shrapnel. Aaron had been picking the shards out of him before Moonlit shooed him away for a private conversation with her son. None too happy about the company Bidruhi was keeping and the man he was turning into, Moonlit wanted Bidruhi to give up the sword. When Bidruhi said that he had to finish Ramu's work, Moonlit dropped a bombshell. Ramu was not Bidruhi's father. But the news, shocking as it was, ultimately did not shake him. It didn't matter to Bidruhi who his father was. Someone had to pick up the sword for Kethris, and he would not refuse the call. Later on, Mumtaz came to visit. A half-hearted tour for Bidruhi ended at Clem's workshop. Since much was destroyed in the renovation of the lair, Clem wanted to open it up to the community, but Bidruhi was concerned that this would make them vulnerable to attack. Both agreed that the crew itself had to move elsewhere, and so Bidruhi tasked Alkadir to comb the records in Kagazarania and find an appropriate place for the crew, not so far as to disconnect them from the community, but not so close as to endanger everyone around them. Meanwhile, on the way back, Mushfik witnessed a street fight between two familiar combatants. Night Terror and Ripon the Ripper, two of Bidruhi's lackeys, had stolen yet another of Jackal's boots. While Ripon had got away with the spoils, Night Terror was on the receiving end of Jackal's vengeance. Mushfik couldn't very well let their underling and their ally get into a public scuffle, as he brought them both to heel, and dragged them away to the lair to engage in Shulother diplomacy.
What we are doing now is we are having Jackal, Night Terror, and Ripon the Ripper meet Bidruhi and Mushfik, and optionally Clem and Saeeda at the lair. And Saeeda, we will find out what Saeeda has been doing in terms of downtime actions, like we will return to these. But for now, the scene I'm setting up is that Jackal, in her cool hat and badass long coat, but in mismatching brown shoes, comes into the central training area where you have your little tables to drink tea at and such set up. There's more people here than usual. She is in Mushfik's company, and they are bringing along a Night Terror who looks bruised and a bit battered, but proud of herself in spite of having caused an incident, because she hasn't really caught on to that this is a problem yet. She's just haha, Sherikatam saved me and bailed me out.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is, Jackal, ew! Sister, what is that? Sister!
He turns towards you and places a hand on her hip, and she goes, "Yeah, your little friend's here made off with my Tumuchi, and I ain't best pleased about it, but we haven't found her partner in crime."
Sorry, please go on. Do not. I forgot we did that. Yeah, go on.
Yes.
I think anyone who's been observing Bidruhi for the past few days would see this incident and realize this is the first sign of proper emotion and passion is shown.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The fashion crime that Jackal is committing.
And she is casting the bear squarely on Night Terror. I think Night Terror, for all their faults, they are not disloyal to you, nor are they known to be liars.
Mm-hmm.
So Night Terror just stretches herself up and stands tall and goes "We heard about your deeds before, and we're capable of such things too." And she artificially has her voice fall into a gravelly, cool register that she imagines it is.
Oh god.
And it's clear that she has been thinking over this half-baked line for the entire walk here.
Yeah, I think Bidruhi is oh my god. Oh god. So oh fuck. Okay. Huge misunderstanding from everyone all around. Okay. Night Terror. you know why it was like the past that I did this cool deed where I stole Jackal's shoes from? You know why that was in the past? Because that was in the fucking past. You know, things have changed.
Outside of prison, time moves in a linear fashion.
Yeah, she looks genuinely taken aback by this. It's like, but you told us the story after Rippon told you his story about his ripoff. She says, trying to sound mysterious and cool. Rippon's ripoff, as we have established, was literally just financial crimes, but she's trying to make it sound cool.
Okay, Rippon's ripoff was pretty sexy. I'm not going to lie. He's just lying. You know, all credit and all props go to Rippon the Ripper. Okay, and like, you know, this would also be a really sick, cool crime to steal my steal my rival. Because Jackal, you and I, we are still rivals because that is a deeply intimate and powerful relationship to have, despite the fact that we're allies now. You agree? And he just
I'm aware
continues.
of this. Yeah, she says, I think she actually cuts you off. And she says, I'm aware of this. But you know what? In order to patrol the streets, in order to look out for my people, in order for us to be effective allies, I need some damn shoes.
Hell yes, you
All
do.
right?
Absolutely.
And I think she
need
kind of leans forward over you in like a half threatening, but also with a certain energy way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I know what a cabadon is.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that is. What?
Don't worry about it.
I'm worried about it. But all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Bidre says, and Bidre, Jackal's like just so cool. Jackal's just. I think only Jackal can do this to him. Jackal and the esteemed lady in Shades of Rose and Gold. He starts sweating, as Jackal leans in. And, let's be frank, she smells bad, but it's cool. It's like sweat and old leather. And he's like sweating. And he's like, yes, okay. And, he just turns the attention back to disciplining Night Terror because that's easier. Okay, Night Terror, that was like, really cool idea, but like Jackal needs the shoes and like, we are all on the same side. And like, we have this, as I said, we have this dynamic, but like, it's more like archetypical narrativist stuff. Okay, like we haven't gotten there yet. Okay, we are just starting with the 3-act structure. Okay, remember we talked about that last week. We'll get to this later. Listen, you can't steal her shoes, steal someone else's shoes. Also, like, I mean, sorry, did they mention that they were going to do it for me? No, they didn't mention.
Yes, well, they didn't mention it to your face, and I think however, as you're having this speech, like at a pause in your speech, we hear from across the courtyard, "Yowza!" And with 2 fingers in the air and with a pair of shoes, with their shoestrings tied together over his neck, Rippon the Ripper walks in with them dangling on his chest.
Oh, okay. There's the man of the hour. Rippon, come here. Rippon, come here.
Boss, these are for you.
Okay, just come over here and give them to me. Just come over here.
All right. Mm-hmm. He takes them off his neck. He swings them around like a pair of bolas, like he was going to throw them, and he like twirls them around his finger on the shoestrings. And he goes, "Don't worry about it, boss. We got a good Oh, that's the lady. That's the your shoes." And he holds them out to you.
Yeah. And I look at the shoes, and there's a moment where I realize that these are like, I have Muchi shoes stolen from Jackal. Well, I stole one shoe from Jackal, and then Jackal gave me the other one, which is cool, really cool. And these are good shoes. I'm wearing them right now, actually. They're good shoes. These are better.
I mean, she got a good haul from the score as well, right?
Yeah,
She's got to
yeah.
spend some on herself. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, Muchi is like not one of those artists who just like does the same thing, just like variations. He's always moving forward. There are very subtle and important details here, which I will not detail because I don't know anything about shoes. But like anyone who knows anything about shoes will realize that he is looking at a groundbreaking evolution.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like a seismograph right here. So he's looking at it and he's like, shit. But even though I really, really want these shoes, they are not for me. And I take them and I say, and because we can't lose face. We can't lose face here, right? Everyone, all 4 people here, regardless of their moral worth in the situation, none of us can lose face. I hold the shoes up and I say, You know, in Kethris, we have like this tradition, okay? In like weddings, you know, the groom shows up and he sits down. And as soon as he sits down, bride's family comes in and snatches all his shoes away. And there's like a whole chase sequence and so on. It's like really cool. And you know, like in the end, the shoes are given back. Okay? Shoes are given back. The groom, he proves himself by chasing after the shoe. The bride's family proves themselves by stealing the shoe. It's all ritualistic. And you know, this alliance of our people, it's like, what is it? It's a wedding, right? It's, you know, not that I'm marrying Jekyll. He says, sweating more.
I think she leans on the wall over you, takes this like cool, relaxed pose, leaning over you, and she says, "You saying you want to be my bride?"
And Mushfik says, "Oh my god, I completely misunderstood. Congrats, you guys! Like, here I was getting."
I think Bidre comes the closest to fainting from and needing to fan himself as he has ever gotten, and he just says, "No. I mean, no, of course I'd be honored, but like, listen, the point is, you know, very cool initiative, really badass guys, Ripon the Ripper and Night Terror. Like, you have to hand it to them. They did, you know, they did manage to do the rip-off, right? They managed to do the rip-off, and you know, these are great shoes. You know, anyone who knows anything about shoes will see that they're great. Jekyll, great choice. Muchi, absolute artiste. And then he just hands them back.
She takes them with a somewhat more casual look now, and she just looks you up and down once, I think, and says nothing. But there is this one eye sweeping over you from your feet to your forehead look. Yeah, and then she steps back from the threatening, imposing position. But she doesn't put them on yet. She doesn't like, she steps back, she holds them, and she looks you over, and she also waits to see like how you will handle this with your two errant gang members.
If we can say something, so she's still expecting some kind of either payment or punishment for the two.
Yeah, she's expecting this to. There should be some kind of a message here, right?
So I think what we go. Now, of course, this was an unauthorized heist over here, and we can't have our men breaking ranks. So, Night Terror and Ribbon. Now, unfortunately, there will be some punishment, but that type of punishment only two real toughs can handle. You know, there's a kind of like implied wink there.
Yeah, I think Night Terror looks worried because she has already gotten an ass kicking from Jackal, and Rippon does not look worried because he never looks worried. If there's anything this man has, it's confidence in spades. Misplaced confidence, but still.
And even though they're my cohorts, I would have told them many times that, you know, if Shere Khatam ever tells me to go kick my own ass, I'm going to kick my own ass, okay? If Shere Khatam tells me to wash his feet, I will wash his feet. And you know why? Because it's Shere Khatam.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Rippon looks at Mushfik and he gives you a nod and a tilt of his hat. And he goes, "Alrighty then."
I hate this man.
Wow. I was actually about to say, if that's what he sounds like, I'm actually now back in favor of him.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, an appropriate punishment for Rippon the Ripper would be he has to file our taxes.
Why do we want the tax fraud man to file our taxes? What are you talking about? He got arrested for tax fraud.
He has to do it properly this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we can get another money-making claim.
Okay. I think he looks dejected, but
He got arrested for tax fraud. I don't think he knows how to.
He must not be a very good accountant if he got arrested for it.
Oh, that's true, yeah. I always think he has to be a good accountant to know how to do the fraud in the first place.
Doesn't mean he
But
did
he
it
wasn't
well.
good at it. He got arrested.
Yes. Uh-huh. He looks very dejected at the tough guy punishment, but I think he says nothing. He looks over to Bidruhi, and I think most of all he's just disappointed that Bidruhi does not approve more of them repeating Bidruhi's cool prank, bro, which is of course what he was trying to do.
I think Bidruhi, he's caught between a rock and a hard place, you know? And yeah, I think this may be cowardly, but it's what he's going to do. he's going to, he's positioned himself such that, even though he's like quote unquote the leader of the gang and so on, Mushfiq is like older brother, he's Shere Khatam. If Shere Khatam says that this isn't on, then as like members of the Rising Moon Source School, which they technically are now, if it's just how it's going to be. If Saeeda walked in and, decided to thrash them, then like, I can't do anything about that. Saeeda should walk in and decide to thrash them. But
I am not going to do that because I have problems in my life. But
Yeah, it would also offer you too easy a way out, I think.
yeah.
I don't think Mushi's gonna trash them. It would be some kind of, like stereotypical military punishment where they're on latrine duty or like skinning potatoes or something.
If this is some sort of starting a clock for me to lose their loyalty or I lose some sort of face, that's fine. But like, but there is a 19-year-old trying to run a gang of hardened criminals.
Yeah. I mean, the straightforward thing the book says is you lose rep, right? Which I think makes perfect sense here. So
Yeah. Oh well, let's do it. How much rep is that?
So it's rep equal to your tier plus 1, actually. So it's 3 rep.
Oh,
that's not a small amount.
Oh my,
That's-
ouch.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, it is. But I think it makes sense in this case, I think. So I'm going to
Yeah, I
apply
agree.
it.
Yeah, but do we?
Is there something we can do to mitigate this?
You can
I mean,
pay off the offended party, if I remember correctly.
you can pay off the offended party or make an example of the people. So I'll say it's 3 rep, it's 3 coin, or it's handing over Rippon and Night Terror to Jackal for some sort of punishment that she can do. I think these are the 3 options, basically. Like some sort of penance to the Skovlander gang.
You know what? Let's frame it that way.
Mhm.
They're peeling potatoes for the Skovlanders.
Yeah, they love potatoes.
Okay, there you go.
Established this. Yeah, I think it's like, and to show goodwill, Night Terror, Rippon the Ripper, the 2 of you, you're going to go and you're going to help the Skovlanders out. Okay, they have their own problems. Maybe you wash potatoes. I don't know if they have. Oh no, now we have potatoes. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think Jackal goes, well, that's mighty fine, because I got nobody who knows how to cook bitter gourd. Because that's most of the haul.
Yeah, and let me tell you, oof, it's too good.
Little bit of mustard.
Put mustard in your kakar kai. Oh my god! Like, anyway, sorry. Please go on.
That is traditional in Bengali.
I think we need Bengal to like separate from the larger milieu.
The larger.
We would have loved to.
Yeah. Whoa, okay. Everybody calm down.
Indeed.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, anyway, she, I think what she will do then is she will like grab both of them pretty much like by the clothes and toss them backwards to just like get walking. And she turns to Bidruhi and she goes, well, I'd say this isn't over, but we'll see about that. If they cook well enough, maybe. Be seeing ya. And I think he walks off, and there's this little interesting moment here where Bidruhi is left with the memory of his girlfriend's perfumes and silks mingling with the challenging scent of sweat and old leather from Jackal.
Damn, sexual conversion time. Jesus. And he's 19.
Yes.
I think he just ponders the words that she said, which is, we'll see if they cook well enough. And I think I turn to Mushfiq and I say, well, we're screwed, aren't we? I'm going to go have a word with Zutut Mohitul, which probably will not be on screen, where I tell him that he needs to, he's my lieutenant. He needs to shape up.
So, I think we will start some sort of clock on Bidruhi's sheet here and I don't think it's that you punish them, it's that like their whole thing is they're supposed to be a cool, like sharp gang.
Yeah.
And now these guys have to like do humiliating kitchen work. What the hell? This is not what we signed up for. So I think start a 4 o'clock of losing loyalty, or however you want to frame it, and tick it once.
Okay. I know how to defeat this. I'm going to teach them later, not now, that actually peeling potatoes and doing menial tasks and so on for your community is the coolest thing you can do.
And cooking bitter gourd with mustard, presumably.
Yeah, try it. It's good.
Man,
Yeah.
man,
Uh-huh.
man. That's all I have to say. Is man several times.
Yes.
That does it a tree.
Anyway, I have had bitter gourd. I like bitter gourd. Anyway, but it very
love
much
bitter
depends on
gourd,
what you
I
eat
just-
it with.
Yes, indeed. Not mustard. Anyway.
Anyway, before this devolves into a culinary argument, Saeeda, what have you been up to?
Well, as we know, Saeeda mostly lost control of themselves at the end of the previous score because their entire body was taken over by a demon, and that's generally bad.
Yeah,
think.
a demon who is still somewhat unhinged since being taken out into the desert. I want to point out,
Yes.
like their connection to the sash itself is fraying. So
Yep. So, like, we've been spending quite a lot of time, I think, and by we I mean Saeeda has been spending quite a lot of time pretending that everything is fine, but everything is in fact not fine. And so, I think that probably what is Saeeda's first and only concern has been dealing with this problem. And that's probably why she's been missing, because she's sequestered herself with her friend, the sorcerer, Shahryar and Kayat, in order to try and like do something about this. So I think in terms of downtime, it's probably, I remember what you said was that I would have to do a downtime project to get rid of my level 2 harm, which was being unable to control my feet. Of course, currently I also have a level 3 harm, which is that actually Submoom is basically in charge of me. So it seems like what I should do is a long-term project to deal with both.
yeah, sure, we can treat this as not a typical healing clock. Makes sense?
Yeah. And I think that,
I mean, healing clock is a long-term project.
yeah, but it's like longer than like 6 ticks. Sorry, 4 ticks, which is what healing clock is. And also, I'm normally vigorous and I get 1 tick to healing, but I don't think. Oh no, it's +1 die to healing treatment rolls.
Yeah, and your clock is 1 shorter, which I don't want to negate here. So if you have that ability, then let's call it. So normally you would have to heal a total of 8 ticks. You would have to heal twice to get this down to level 1 wound to get rid of this thing. So let's call it. It would normally be an 8 clock project, but because of your ability, let's make it 6, because you're vigorous and you're good at this. So it's a single 6 clock to downgrade, to like get rid of these wounds. It's a bit of a special case, but it's sort of a harm / demonic possession. So I'm fine with it. It would be 6 ticks to heal it away mostly anyway. So
yeah, makes sense. Okay, so I think that probably what happened after the last session is once Saeeda managed to get home, they used the same method that they used the last time to get in touch with Shahryar in like a time of great urgency, which was she spoke Shahryar's name into the ground and hoped that he would come. And like that's like really good friends for whatever reason. So it is gonna happen.
yes, but you have this harm where you cannot like take care of yourself. So I think what is going to happen is, and I feel comfortable doing this because you have a level 3 harm, you can resist it if you want, is I think you will speak this into the ground, and then Shahryar will summon you. Or rather, he will summon someone.
Oh, that's great. That is so good.
So it's not that it's not that he comes to you. He will reply with a spell in turn, and he will like compel the demon that compels you, and draw you to his actual home, which is I think way out of your element. So you are going to find yourself compelled to walk towards, the spire of House Ankayat, I guess, because he's a member of that house.
Incredible. Yes, absolutely. I don't know what this feels like, but I presume what it feels like is very weird.
Yeah. I think it feels like vaguely being in a dream where you're like, I have to get to this destination, and you're like half sleepwalking there. And so let us see, like, he is a proper member of House Ankayat. Like, he is a proper sorcerer of House Ankayat even. So he has access to their grand palatial spire. And so I think let's have everyone paint the scene a little bit for this is the first time we see the interior of one of the demonic spires. And Saeeda is only let in because you know someone here. So I think it's important to establish a little bit about what this looked like. I think where we will find ourselves is I'm imagining some sort of outdoor space where he will talk to you, like one of these lattice windows, mosaic floor, kind of a good place to sit around and play instruments, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I think this is where he will have his meeting with you. But let's look towards Ankayat, the house of the wise, the seers of truth, powerful sorcerers, etc. And so let's start with Saeeda.
Mm-hmm.
What, I think this is a natural part, what is special about the books that are on display in this area? There probably aren't that many because this place is exposed to the elements a little bit, but there are a few.
Yeah, I think the ones that are exposed to the elements are books that need to be exposed to the light of the well.
They can't be read in any other light. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And perhaps one of the reasons that House Ankayat was in favor, I suppose, decades ago, of building this giant mirror that provides a semblance of daylight was that they were able to use it in many ways for their own experiments. And this is one of the things that's useful.
Which also means that these books cannot be read outside of Uduasha, which is an interesting perk, yes.
Yes, That's a great point. Yeah. I think maybe what it is that these books are in part written by the sorcerers who study with House Ankayat under the Wellfire, but some of them are also recovered and relics from before the well even existed. And so this is it's exposed to the elements, but I think it's a very rare place, I guess, in Uduasha, which is you can see all around you, because if you get within some radius, you've tripped some kind of alarm, because these are very expensive, very dangerous, and very powerful artifacts.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are these books here. You don't even know what's in them. Probably the covers are not labeled, but they are held out here in this pavilion. Salty. One of House Ankayat's aspects is water. So what kind of weird water feature is present in this space?
That's a good one. I think the walls themselves just keep dripping, and I think there's no ascertainable source of this water. Sometimes it drips upward.
Oh, lovely. There's just I'm getting the feeling that it looks like if you have a thin layer of water on the floor, in a slightly flooded bathroom floor, except it's on the walls and the water just kind of moves around. Is that the feeling?
Yeah, that's the vibe.
Oh, that's amazing. Zoheb, one of the aspects of House Ankayat is the aspect of the snake. How is that visible here? What's serpentine about this place?
You know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to say something silly. Everyone who is in here looks like a cobra.
Okay.
What the fuck?
I think it's faint and subtle, but yeah.
No, what I mean is that you aren't really a cobra. It's not literally a cobra. But when you're in this room, you're a cobra.
Okay.
It's a council of cobras.
Yeah, it's a serpentine vibe to the place. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, Aadiyat. One of the aspects is the owl, which soars above and looks down on others, because these are haughty even by the standards of demon houses, right? They're soaring sorcerers. So in what way do they look down on the views below? What's here to establish this position as physically and spiritually above Uduasha?
I mean, it's other than being a very tall spire.
Yeah, other than being high up, how have they enhanced this feeling of being above, not just physically, but in other ways?
The thought that comes to me is that the spire is itself, or so maybe it's a bit like the actual the column of the spire is very, very thin, but at the top where the observation deck or the library is, that's broader, so it almost seems to be floating, right? And I think the effect of the water only like lends, it's almost like rain from a cloud, rather that's what it looks like rather than like it looking like a tower.
Yeah, perfect. So it's in this strange venue you find yourself high up in a place that seems to be floating, wearing the aspect of the cobra. And like I like this idea that you look like a cobra, but I also think part of the reason why this works is that people who are not sorcerers, people who are not enlightened to the ways, right, genuinely believe themselves to be serpents. But I think I'm gonna slightly twist Klow's idea because I think it's cool in this moment if like Shahryar and Saeeda are able to maintain this kind of sorcerer's vibe of this is true but also not true, so that you can simultaneously be a snake and a person. And it's one of those. It's like a trick of the light. If you're skilled enough in sorcery, you can see past it. But if like a thief were to break in here, they would just basically turn into a snake. Like they would lose themselves.
Great. Why not just add a bit of Eldritch Snake to your role-playing game campaign? This message brought to you by the Temple of the Eternal Serpent.
I know why you added this, because this means you're technically now, with all that we have established, doing the Cobra in the sky.
Yeah. Look, I really wish that we could have just left that unspoken, but here we are.
Mm-hmm. So you sort of come to your senses here, I think, after having been summoned, and you see Shahryar before you, sitting cross-legged with a book across his lap, and you sort of see this, like, simultaneously he is a snake and he is a person. And I think he's dressed like a little more casually than he is when he's out and about. He's already fairly casual, fairly like uncle-like appearance. But now he has like, he's one layer less than he wears outside, which means he still wears layers. And he's sitting poring over a book, consulting it. And he says, well, very unusual. We talked about this. I believe your sash is definitely not dead, but it has definitely changed.
Well, hello to you too. Seems like it doesn't want to let go of me. I actually cannot move my limbs without help. I'm not sure Shahryar gets the social niceties of this means I would like you to come and help me.
Yeah. I think in this instance he does, and he pores over his book, and he says, it loves you, with a constraining, strangling sort of love. I would say only a demon is capable of, but very few humans. He turns the page.
Yes, well,
I think he looks directly into your eyes, and there is something almost accusing about it, and he says, and yet you indulged it.
we do not get to choose. That's not true. Look, I did what I did because at that time it seemed the best of some very bad options. And at that time when I did it, I foresaw a moment, I won't lie, that this may occur to me. That moment when I called upon it. And from the desert dunes it came. And I thought to myself, well, this is likely to become a problem, and it now has. You are correct, and you've advised me not to, but you know that the demon houses are not going to permit me to carry out my business unless I do these kinds of things. You know that.
I am aware.
And so it is unavoidable.
So it has been. Do you wish for this state to change? Do you wish for it to stop loving you?
Is that possible?
Well, only in two ways. It can change, or you can.
I've been attempting for some time to change it and have not been succeeding. I suspect that ultimately I am too close to it in order to too close to what I think it should be. What should I?
Sorry about that. You asked what should you do?
Yeah.
He says, it is far easier to change a person than a demon. But of course, it may have dramatic consequences. I have in this book the means for it not to love you, but only by virtue of you becoming something it does not love.
Well, what I am afraid of is that the thing it loves most about me is the thing that I would never let go of.
Can you tell me what that is? Or is it a secret too deep?
It was a secret, but I think I must begin to unfurl this secret lest it consume me in the way that Samu might. For I think I will look around, and I know that I'm in one of the places of power of one of the demon houses, but maybe the safest place to be in a hurricane is in the eye of the storm. And I will say, I seek to bring about the Prince of Endings. And such conviction, I suspect, is what draws Samum to me. It's what draws many such beings to me. And I am not sure what to do except continue along this path. For if I stop now, where would I go?
Mm. Then if you cannot change, he says, closing the book, the demon must. Although, riddle me this, old friend. If you cannot change, if you cannot let go of this devotion, can you truly end anything?
Ha ha! Oh, that is for my God to answer. And he will answer. And that answer he gives to you will be proof enough.
Perhaps he already has. You are doomed to die soon, you know that, right?
I hope only to live until I see him begin.
And there may be a little something we can do, he says, putting the book back on the shelf. And he sighs quite heavily. And he says, I have well and truly enjoyed your company, you know. I have enjoyed fishing with you. I have enjoyed having enlightened conversations about lighter things, about things without so much gravity. I'm too old for politics and too wary for philosophy. But I still enjoy fishing. It's one of the little pleasures, you know?
Yes. It's less about what you catch and more about just being there with the water, I think. Though it is nice to catch a fish.
No fisherman has ever said that in their goddamn lives. What are you talking about?
I actually have never fished in my goddamn life. So I'm gonna assert,
Yeah.
I'm gonna assert that this is true for Saeeda, and you can do whatever you like.
Mm-hmm. Old people fishing might actually
Yeah.
think this, though. It's just nice with the time away from things. And yeah, Shahryar nods solemnly, and he says, "Well, it is, I suppose, a good thing you planned for it. All right. I can leave your friend trapped here. In this time, with this body, and I can grant you a little respite. But I really only mean a little. I have the means to begin the end."
Curious, but I was wondering whether you might provide me a means to end this beginning. But I wondered whether you might know a way to change this demon's name, and by doing so, change its very nature.
I can change it if you do not wish to be changed. Yes, that is within my power. But it is considerably harder and more taxing.
When have you known me to choose the easy path? And then I'm just gonna like shake my head, because I want to be clear, this entire conversation seems to have occurred with me lying flat on the floor, unable to move my limbs. You know?
But this is why you're a cobra. You have no limbs.
Ah, yes, of course. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, "All right then. We'll change its nature."
Excellent. The reason I mentioned this is that I have name priest. During downtime, you get 2 ticks to distribute among any long-term project clocks that involve investigation or studying the name of a god. And I'm hoping that I might use it in order to hasten this process.
Okay. So you're using it on this healing clock this downtime. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Then you have 2 ticks to your 6-tick clock.
Yeah.
In that case, yeah, and I think we'll fold that into this. And he says, "I trust you have collected its names. I trust you've been fishing them up in the time you've spent together."
Oh, yes. I can't help it, I think.
"Well then, tell them to me," he says simply. And he is asking you a big thing here, because for him to use this spell to free you, you need to share with him Samum's names, which means giving up the exclusive power you've had over it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you do this, you can attune to work on this clock and get a +1 die from your friend, because then I think he's capable of helping you.
Great. Yeah. And I think what happens is, if this is okay, what is happening is partially that I am slowly breaking Samum's heart.
Yeah.
And I think what is maybe the most, in some ways, terrible things about this is that they are doing this. Saeeda is doing this knowing that this is it's a demon, and it's tricky and all this stuff, but there's very few things that it feels are sacrosanct. But this is definitely one of them.
Yes. So you may attune with 1 bonus die, and then you may spend coin to improve the result if you wish. But I think you are doing this by just sharing its name with Shahryar, and then he's going to do something, and depending on this roll, we'll see what that means.
I also get a die if I'm speaking its name for my own purposes, but I guess I'm speaking a new one. Oh, will it count? Because then it's...
Yeah, I think it's 2 bonus dice. I think it's fine. So attune with 2 bonus dice.
So 6.
It is a fortune roll. It's a 6. So that means 3 more ticks, which means you put you at 5 out of 6. Do you want to upgrade this to a crit by spending a coin?
I thought I had 2 ticks, right, from my ability?
Yeah.
So, 6 is 3 ticks. Oh, yes. I will spend a coin.
Excellent. So you speak these names with Shahryar, and he is curious about this too, because not every day you get to speak a demon's series of true names and change their nature, right? And I'm going to tell you a thing that happens now, and you may resist this if you please, but something happens. So you are breaking the demon's heart.
Yes.
It has loved you and you are changing it in such a way that it no longer loves what it loves.
Yes.
And Shahryar has never done this, but he speaks the names. This transformation occurs. There is a flash of light and strangeness, and then he looks completely stunned, like stunned and horrified to have discovered this in this place, in a demon prince's sanctum. Something truly unholy has happened. Samum dies.
Holy shit! It would rather die than change what it loves?
Yes. Or else it dies of a broken heart.
Or that, yeah. I mean, both are same, but yeah.
But you asked him some time ago, can demons truly die? And he said they probably can't. But here, in the sanctum of a demon prince who would rather people very much not know about this, you kill a demon. Samum is dead.
Holy fucking shit. Okay. This is fine. This is normal. This is totally sane and fine and cool and chill.
All your Samum related injuries have gone away. You're totally fine.
I observe this happening, and because Saeeda is a cold, like, Saeeda is literally cold. Like, that's one of their traumas. And they see this happening, and they merely murmur under their breath, I dedicate this to the Prince of Endings. For who else but he could have insisted on such a thing? Who else but he could have caused it? Definitely not me. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
And Shahryar says, old friend, we must get you out of here now. I cannot see you again, not here, nor anywhere where it is known. Damn it all.
I did not expect it, and I appreciate what you've done. I will find a way, somehow. And then I stand up with once more, my limbs under my full control, my sash, which was earlier possessed by the demon, now only with like a faint, like, echo of that possession. And I still, to be clear, have what appear to be cracked ribs, which is bad. And then I will say, don't you know, the vizier of the House of Lies is known to be able to fly. And I will take a running leap off of this balcony and trust that the King of Lies will hear me and save me.
Okay, sure. It's desperate because you're trying to escape House Ankayat's spire. You could have done it in many ways, all of which are desperate.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to draw your attention to this vignette from the House Ankayat section.
Yes, House Ankayat does have the ability to fly. Yes, this is a thing that they can do.
That's even better, though.
Now is the question, Salman, the King of Lies, was formerly of House Ankayat, and the question is, can he lie his way back into these powers and save you?
Like, I think that is so good if that's true. And so, what I'm going to do, this is a sway. I am just lying. There is no anything. It's just pure lies.
Okay. You're lying to gravity.
Yes,
perfect.
Correct. And whenever I speak a particularly outraged, bull-faced lie, I gain increased effect, whatever the action. Well, okay, so in that case, I think sway is great because I got 3 dice. But is it better if I roll prowl?
No, I think it's sway. You are lying your way out of this building, which was already caught in a lie of serpents. And because you're using your bald-faced lie, you have desperate standard instead of desperate limited.
Well, that's very good. My special armor reset at the beginning of downtime, which means that if I need to, I can use it to resist the bad things that are about to happen.
Yes.
Great.
This is possible.
Sway. Desperate.
I'm going to assist you.
1 bonus die. I'm not sure I don't have a bonus die, do I?
No, but you can get an assistance from Vidru here. How are you assisting?
I think we need to flash back to a conversation. It doesn't have to be a whole thing. But okay, so you're using the power of lying to believe that to have the Prince of Endings be someone who can help you fly. Yes?
No, the king of lies, who is a different ancient, Yeah.
Okay. You know what? We're going to flash back to very early in the campaign. You know, when the kingfisher and the tiger were supposed to fight, which they did, and the scion of the demon house was supposed to come forward with his burning sword or whatever. I forget exactly the details. But in that story, like in the you're remembering this long argument that I was having with the stage manager, the prop manager of the Blue Smoke Troop, because I rushed up to her and I started telling her, okay, now you have to like rig us up with some wires, okay, and we're going to soar through the air. We're going to soar through the air and we're going to fight each other with swords, okay? So I'm going to be the kingfisher. I am obviously flying. Tiger is flying tiger. Okay, it's not a real thing, but like if we do this, it will be cemented into mythopoetic reality. Okay, mythopoetic reality. Jot that down.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thank you for this.
And we are also going to have member of audience. Yeah, we're going to have member of audience. We're going to have them secretly hooked up with these wires all along, and they're going to leap forward as well. And they are going to fly. They're going to fly the most badass way. Actually, they're going to be fireworks. Are you jotting this down? Why are you walking away? So,
and now you remember the wires.
Yes.
And, I mean, there are mystic secrets concealed in Uduasha's operas. So
Salman was supposed to fly. That didn't happen. Salman was supposed to pretend to be flying. So there's multiple lies together. The thing where he was supposed to be flying didn't happen, and anyway, yes. Anyway, that's how I'm helping you. Yes. Anyway, yes. Anyway, yes, is the king of lies. Energy,
Yeah.
fundamentally.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
very good. Desperate, standard, sway, 1 bonus die.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was the assist. The assist gave me a 6.
It's a 6 because of Bidrohi's assistance.
Yeah.
So you leap out of this balcony high above Uduasha, and you somehow fly to safety. Where do you land?
Oh man. I think that we know that there is a part of Ipri that is open to the sky, and you cannot see into it from the outside, but if you are inside it, you can see up. And I think the reason that I mentioned this is that somehow, and it feels like it's not like necessarily pleasant because it feels like I'm on wires. It feels like there is like a kind of like immense frame in the sky that is like jerking me, and I fall into that massive yawning pit. It seems like death is what it seems like, and then once I pass through it, it's actually like quite pleasant.
I bet the sky behind you looks like a screen of a sky being raised.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great. Yeah.
Okay. Very well. So we see Saeeda fly to safety, and we see 2 more things happen. One of them is Shahryar looking after you off this balcony, and he turns with a deep concern on his face. He looks at his snakes that are assembled, and I think for the first time, you've talked to him a little bit about the Prince of Endings, but for the first time he has seen what this means. He has beheld the impossible.
Yeah.
He has seen a demon die, and he sinks down on a small chair, and he just says, "Done. Finished. Khatam."
Khatam shud, my lord. That's a deep cut Harun and the Sea of Stories reference for the listeners. Sorry, please go on.
Excellent. Yeah. And the other thing we see is the river that snakes its way to Uduasha from Kethris. It has a few boats on it. The water levels are low. It's been tricky getting boats through the old-fashioned way, with the railroad taking over. But there is at least still some hope for the old Kethrisi river boats and sailing ships. Until suddenly, and without warning, the wind from the east dies.
You can't pin that on me. You cannot fucking. Nobody knows it was me.
No, I cannot pin on you. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but this food crisis we've been having, this lack of a wind,
Look, you can't. I. That's all I have to say on the
Uh-huh.
subject.
Yes, the wind is still over the desert. Maybe it is simply morning.
Sure, yeah, you never know. Okay, great.
It's okay. We're going to
Fuck.
steal a farm. We're going to have food. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you missed that. You missed that discussion. Don't worry about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
well, I never do, as you know. That was one downtime action.
Yes.
I would like to hang out with my fellow Ketrisi, and I need to release some stress.
What about that goddamn table?
Actually, let's be real. If you're okay for table, I'm so pumped for table. But I have just done like what seems like a fairly big arcane scene, and I don't know if you want to do that again.
Roll your indulge vice with a mango, then I have a scene to set you up, actually.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
I rolled a 5. 1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
So I am eating mango. Clementine appears to be doing something in this lair. I'm like, you go, girl. Hashtag I'm not a girl.
mhm.
Great. Sorry, I'm really concerned with this mango because I need to kind of ground myself because something has happened that is meant to be impossible. And I was pretending that it was all fine, but it's really like fucked up.
Uh-huh. Yes. So you are grounding yourself in the taste of a mango. And I have another scene that I wish to happen aside from the table because we've set ourselves up for this farm theft. And so, Clem. Okay, I will ask you actually, Clem. Do you think that you are the sort of person to receive news supernaturally in dreams? Or do you think that you are the sort of person to gain people's trust? Because I cannot really tell in what direction I want to take this. When you were down in Gilly Gilly Gully, you met a small god. Do you think it would contact you or would someone else?
What kind of question is this? Have you met Salty?
Well, that's why I'm offering Salty the option. It's so much more delicious if you choose yourself. You met a small god. Do you think it would take contact with you again? I guess is my question.
Yeah, I mean, one of the projects I was thinking of doing was going to be making friends with the little lotus. And you know what I do dream about? Duasha. And be as it was, I think that's a perfect segue for the lotus.
Then I guess you are contacted in dreams. As it were. You find yourself once more in this little underground house with this little strange man full of holes, who is the little god of the lotus. He will sigh, like softly, and look at you and say, well, there is nothing more to eat. I'm sorry for inviting you in without offering you any.
It's I've eaten. Could I have brought my own food? I mean, I suppose it's a dream. And
Yes, sure. Yeah. You. Okay. I will ask you a question here then. Have you actually eaten now? Did you eat with with Mumtaz and Bidri after the last scene?
Clem, why is your plate empty?
Wait, have you not been eating?
We had a scene earlier where Clem didn't want to eat, and then I went full uncle on them.
I see.
So I want to specifically see now, Clem. Have you taken the good advice of Bidri uncle?
ooh, have I taken the good advice? That is
If
the
not, I'm
question.
definitely in your dream as an old man saying,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
A nightmare. Night Terror's really stepping their game up. Yeah, I think Clem's eaten.
Good. Then you can have food now. I think then you're able to bring along food from the last meal you had. You can have the memory of it with you.
We're going to eat memory food. Yeah.
Look, you're talking to a small god. This is exactly how they operate.
Yeah, it's probably soup. So Clem brings the bowl out and ladles some in, pushes it across the table.
The small god looks down at it, and it says, brethren, rising from earth. This isn't your earth, but you understand earth.
Yes. I don't think I'll ever go back to my earth. So this is as good a place as any.
Earth is earth. Anywhere. Isn't it? Dead things, eaten by worms. Made into earth. Earth made into me. The Bakshis are forgetting me. He says, looking down at the soup bowl forlorn.
They will remember. Then.
Will they? By the river. The Dilkusha. The other Bakshis. They do not eat the fruit of the earth anymore.
What do they do with it instead? Sell it on? Smoke it?
Smoke. Yes. They take from the earth, and it rises to the heavens, or into the lungs of fool boys and girls in Ash Cloister. To take from the earth and give to the sky. And there's anger overcoming him, and he strikes the bowl away in an impulse.
Anger's not befitting a god. Lotus. It seems like a problem you cannot solve.
No. Death again. And there is a slow, weary sigh from the little root man, the little root god. He seems to physically shrink. He says, just quietly, they eat out there. The people in Bundervest, they eat. Will they nourish the earth? I don't know.
They will. The people that I work with seek to nourish the earth as I do. I would make the Bakshis remember your name, or replace them. Is that what you would like?
It turns the bowl upside down and strikes it down on the table, and it looks at you with squinting eyes, and it says, "Making false promises to a god is not befitting a mortal." And then I think the dream will just end, and you will just wake up after you have said anger is not befitting it.
Oh, is there a way I could resist that?
Sure. What else do you want to accomplish here? I think it's an action roll, not a resistance in that case.
Clem just wants to keep sleeping.
Yeah. I think what Clem wants to do here is show that, I suppose, she does want the smaller gods, this god, to be remembered in the end of it all. Doesn't deserve to be forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it sounds like a sway or possibly a consort
Yeah.
to reassure.
Yeah,
this.
I don't think I really have much in the way of leverage, so I feel like it's a consort here.
Absolutely.
What risk, what position effect are we looking at?
Let's call it risky standard. I see nothing that sways it one way or another.
What would desperate great look like?
Okay, of course. Gotta ask. Well, I think so. Standard effect here is to boost this little god's confidence and make it feel remembered. I think on a desperate or on a great, sorry, I will give you one use of the, I forget the name of it, but the cult special ability where a god can aid you. I will give you that special ability temporarily.
Cool.
For the next score.
Fuck it, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm going to push myself for extreme effect, so I get desperate extreme.
How many dice are you looking at? Would you like an assist?
Okay, so with desperate extreme, not only can this little god aid you, with extreme effect, you can make this little god manifest. You can literally like summon up the voice of the roots and do shit with that. Like the little god of the root will
Fantastic.
manifest when you call upon him.
Then I'm also going to spend another 2 stress to roll my trauma +1 instead of this action rating. I'm just going to smash out.
Okay, very good. And I suppose that you have recalled the burning of the earth and the salting of the fields that took place in Skovlan.
Ooh. I think Clem remembers something before that instead. How they would bury the dead in Severos,
Nice.
in sky burial, and let the earth reclaim them.
Yeah.
Would you like an assist?
Question how?
Well, that's not. I can always come
Yeah.
up with a reason. That's not the issue.
Mm.
But would you like one?
I mean, that'd be nice. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Well, you did see me in your dreams. We made a joke about it, but maybe that did happen. And I'm leading. I want this farm. I mean, pushing towards the food, so on. So, and a big part of like what's going on is that you want to make it clear that the Kethrisi will grow things, right? That they actually will use the land. So I think like all the things that I've been doing over the session and even last session is proof of the fact of that truth.
Mm.
So in a sense, I think that can be my assist. And these are also all like brother I'm with you stuff, right? So
Yeah.
essentially these don't cause stress. So these can be like things that I've done in the past that become relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I buy it. Okay, so it's a bonus
That's
die.
5. Mm.
Oh, it's a 5. Even with all those dice, it's a 5 on a desperate extreme. All right. So the little god of the root will manifest in your favor during this score, and yeah, basically there is this displeasure with the hive moving in and the planting of drugs and so on, and the desperate consequence. I guess this moves slightly into like body horror territory, but I think the desperate consequence is you're going to mutate here.
Oh god. Trypophobia stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, at least I don't have to actually see it.
Mm-hmm. Because I think that you draw the energy of this god into yourself. And this is a thing that happens in Gilly Gilly Gully. I should frame this as Gilly Gilly Gully has a thing where a lot of the farming families have made pacts with various like things in the soil. They have agreements with the plants. And it's weird. And it does weird stuff to the family and to the lineage. So yeah, I think rather than getting directly into trypophobia stuff necessarily, I think the desperate consequence here is simply that you will forge an unbreakable bond with the land in Gilly Gilly Gully. If you resist this and it's risky, then it will be a breakable bond. But I think basically, yeah, rather than body horror stuff, actually let me reframe it because I think this is more interesting. The desperate consequence is a ghost contract with the land.
Sick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not going to resist
Lovely.
that. That's too fun. I want.
Gonna plant you like a turnip.
Yes. So, I mean, if you are to
Mm.
if you're to break it, then you take a level 3 harm and all sorts of nasty stuff happens. But I think you basically make a promise to a small god, and yeah, you now share this weird bond with the land that the farmers of Gilly Gilly Gully have. This has a couple of really interesting effects. For one, again, you can resist any aspect of this, but for one of the things you can now never do is leave Uduasha.
Like leave, not physically exit for a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, you can go out into the desert and so on, but if you are too far away from this like land you are bonded with, you will die. Because ghost contract. So this is a bond with the physical location of Gilly Gilly Gully, right? And the city of Uduasha.
Oh my god.
Those wandering days are over.
Mm.
We got there, but I think this is the proper consequence for it.
All the world will be your enemy. You should run, but can't run if you'll die. Oh.
All the world ain't your enemy. That's just some bullshit.
Yeah.
Got some friends right here. I don't know why I'm talking like this.
I am going to resist it. And by resisting it, can I reframe it a little bit to be, I don't have to be here physically, but I must always remember. Keeping in on that theming of memory.
Okay, sure. This you have forgotten much already, so
I can never forget this.
yeah, I suppose that's part of the ghost contract too. So alright, let's frame it like that then. You can resist it, and you must remember the fields of Gilly Gilly Gully. They have become a core memory for you.
Core memory activated. Wonderful.
Okay. I will fuck with this a little further, because workshopping consequences is always fun, right? So I think part of this then is that you have this dream, you bond with this god who does not wish to be forgotten. And so you must never forget, but you also get memories that are not yours. That are memories that this little god has treasured of Gilly Gilly Gully. So you will occasionally have flashes of memory of, being a child in Gilly Gilly Gully. Which, of course, is a thing that hasn't happened to you, but you will have those memories because this god
I'm
wants to
feeling the
preserve
vibe
them.
of Clem's a walking repository for memories that aren't theirs right now. Fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
Why not?
But I think it's a
Why
cool addition.
not?
Yeah.
What a weird person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not all of us can have girlfriends. Okay?
No, you can. You just choose not to.
And homoerotic relationships with their rivals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some of us have horrible wives, I guess is what you're saying.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. So, shall I resist with feels like a resolve resist?
Yes, it feels like a resolve resist.
Let's go. That was completely unstressful. Do this in my sleep.
Yes, that was completely unstressful. You have the rest of your night, I guess, you spend dreaming of a beautiful farming childhood in Gilly Gilly Gully. Like a past of these wonderful memories of living on a farm. Because I think the thing that this little god wants to preserve is not, the sweating days of hard labor. They're definitely there. But, the precious memories are the happy times. Fishing with your friends in the river. Or going for a swim after the hard work is done. And all that.
Being chased by bees.
Oh,
There's a lot of that.
The real enemies are the wasps.
No, wasps are fine. Wasps are great.
Yeah, you have dreams of idyllic country life, and then you wake up. But you now have some information also on that. Like, we sort of already knew that the Dilkusha Bakshis have been trading with the Hive, but I think the thing that, just to clarify, the thing that this god is revealing to you is that they have now pivoted entirely, basically. This is the first year where they go like, okay, we're just going to stop growing food, because, like, even though it's quite profitable right now, our Hive contacts are only interested in drugs. So that's what we'll be doing full time now.
I'm sure the Akarusi would love to have one of Uduasha's really, really important farms in a time of famine just be producing drugs. Conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they need it elsewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're releasing. They're actually releasing really like radioactive rays that are being reflected onto the mirror and then coming back down, and they're using that to control your mind.
Yes.
Good. Anyway, I feel like this is sort of a good place to round off the session, maybe. We've set up this score to take over the farm. We now have both Clem and Bidruhi being set on it.
Should we end with whatever Tree wanted to do for this final thing? I don't know if that's quick or not. If it's long, we could probably start off next session with that.
Yeah, I think we should do it next session, and I'm happy to like do the score and then do this also.
Yeah.
Because you used your downtime for Vice and stuff now, so.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of like the idea that this is something that Saeeda is constantly worried about, but is also paralyzed by.
Yes. So,
Excellent.
then that wraps up our session. There's no payoff phase this time, so we are going to go discuss XP and do a little bit of debriefing on the game. If you want to join us on that debriefing, then I hope you're a patron on our Patreon, because that's what patrons on our Patreon get to do. Nailed it.
It's $1.
Yes, it's just $1. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Here close the doors to the House of Endings. Those who dwell within are Zoheb, called Klow, Aadiyat, called Soap, Psalmistry, called Tree, and Salty. I have been Prince, your host. Our city of Uduasha is based on Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions, with special thanks to Johnstone Metzger. Follow us on Twitter or support us on kofi.com/desperateattune. If you want to engage further with us, we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/desperateattune, where you will get our newsletter, extra content, and updates from Uduasha.
Don't do your wife a favor. This is what I've learned from being married.
Wow, okay.